Apropos of absolutely nothing other than serving the interests of propaganda and authoritarianism, Donald Trump gave a speech at Fort Bragg, North Carolina yesterday, where he goaded troops into booing fake news, booing Joe Biden, and generally pulling them into the political world in a way that I thought that the founders intended and that we aren't supposed to pull members of the military into. Let's take a look. Another pillar of authoritarianism is politicizing the military. Trump goads the troops at Fort Bragg into booing the very media covering this speech.
And for a little news for the fake news back there, the fake news, ladies and gentlemen, look at them all. Oh, yeah, what I have to put up with. Fake news. What I have to put up with. But they're all right. They've been very nice today. They were impressed with that display, I can tell you that.
We are not supposed to politicize the troops, but a hallmark of authoritarianism. And in fact, when have authoritarian strongmen dictators succeeded in history? When they had the military on their side. So I know it's just a little bit of booing. Oh, David, aren't you going too far? No. One thing that history tells us as we see slides into the depths of authoritarianism is that success often depends on where is the military in relation to what you are doing. Trump using the language of war, invasion, and conquest when he talks about what's happening in Los Angeles. And he says that a lot of the people that now he is trying to get out were let in by Joe Biden. Blaming Biden in front of the troops, more politicization of the troops, more lies.
Professional. Under the Trump administration, this anarchy will not stand. We will not allow federal agents to be attacked, and we will not allow an American city to be invaded and conquered by a foreign enemy, and that's what they are. A lot of those people were let in here by the Biden administration. They just poured right in. They came from prisons, they came from jails from all over the world. They came from mental institutions. They were the leaders of gangs. They were drug lords allowed to come into our country. Their countries threw them out. Their countries would bus them or drive them right to our border and say, go in there. You ever come back, we're going to kill you.
You know, what Trump doesn't mention, of course, is that the overwhelming majority of those protesting in LA are natural born American citizens. And this is very dark language, sort of alluding to the idea of a war within. We are going to war within our country. We have a name for that. It's called civil war. In another just dystopian moment, Trump then, he's already goaded the troops into booing the media, and he's already blamed Biden in front of the troops. Trump then goads the troops into booing California Governor Gavin Newsom, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass as well.
Wearing a uniform because you don't know exactly who they are. In Los Angeles, the governor of California, the mayor of Los Angeles, they're incompetent, and they paid troublemakers, agitators, and insurrectionists. They're engaged in this willful attempt to nullify federal law and aid the occupation of the city by criminal invaders. That's what it is.
Invasion, conquest, boo Democrats. This is pathetic, dangerous, dystopian, but tragically predictable. Tragically predictable. Trump then goes to the topic of Europe, and he points to Europe as proof, you would say, that immigration is bad. We got to do something about it.
What's happened so quickly, as the entire world can now see, uncontrolled migration leads to chaos, dysfunction, and disorder. And you know what? They have it in Europe, too. It's happening in many of the countries of Europe. They don't like it when I say it, but I'll say it loudly and clearly. They better do something before it's too late.
Now, it's important to remember that as Donald Trump weighs in on what's happening in Europe, he has failed on his promise to end the Russia-Ukraine war. He has failed on his promise from his first term to end the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, that it's hard to think of someone less qualified to speak on these issues. He then, after already goading the troops in the audience to boo this Democrat and boo that Democrat, then he pulls the election was rigged and stolen stuff. Again, just the disgusting politicization of the American military, unhinged and deranged.
Minneapolis was burning down. It was going to burn to the ground, and he wouldn't call the guard. And I waited for a long time, and I called the guard, and I saved it, but I wish I would have called it the first day. And I said, if this ever happens again, because I was thinking about running because the election was rigged and stolen, we all know it. I said, we're going to run again, and if I win, which I hope, remember, we're going to make it too big to rig. But we did. We won by millions and millions of votes. So beautiful to watch. That was such a beautiful 9:02 in the evening. They said, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump is projected to be the winner. I said, well, you think that was easy?
So one question that has come up is the crowd, the military crowd, really that friendly to Trump? Or did they arrange the friendly ones to be near the microphones and standing behind Trump? I have no idea. I genuinely have no idea. One of the differences between the Republican Party of old and the Republican Party of today is that there were times when the Republican Party of old wouldn't trash cities and states within the United States. They might say, we don't like the leadership. They might say, we want different policies. They might say they've gone too far left, but they wouldn't call cities or states trash. But this is Trump's Republican Party. And now it's fine to say things like Los Angeles is a trash heap. And that is exactly what he said.
Within the span of a few decades, Los Angeles has gone from being one of the cleanest, safest, and most beautiful cities on earth to being a trash heap with entire neighborhoods under the control of transnational gangs and criminal networks. It's horrible.
It used to be the case that Republicans didn't do this. I still disagreed with them on policy then, but they didn't do this. But now they do. And then finally, Donald Trump suggesting one of his favorite clampdowns on constitutionally protected speech. He's the free speech guy, but he loves the idea of jailing people for burning the American flag. You don't have to do it. You can find yourself offended by it. But it is constitutionally protected speech. Trump wants that changed. He's been promising this for years.
Our country, or from people that love our country. People that burn the American flag should go to jail for 1 year. That's what they should be doing. 1 year. And we'll see if we...
Nothing screams free speech and small government like telling people, if you burn a piece of fabric that you own, we will imprison you.
Get that done. We're going to try and get that done. We're working with some of your senators. I know Senator Josh Hawley is very much involved.
So Trump has been promising that they're going to do what they can to make it illegal to burn pieces of fabric that you own, depending on what is on the fabric, for a long time. But all of this, as disgusting as all of this was, it is nothing compared to the threat against speech that Trump levied from the Oval Office yesterday. All right, so we all know Alexa listens to us, recommends products based on our conversations. Meta retargets us based on our browsing and engagement history. Have you wondered what ChatGPT and Claude are up to with your conversations? We feed so much of our information to these AI chatbots, thoughts, dreams, sensitive questions, business ideas. They take the information, tie it to your identity, and they can sell that to third parties and governments. ChatGPT has the former director of the NSA on their board right now. That doesn't feel awesome. It took us a long time to truly understand what social media companies were doing with our data. We don't have to make the same mistake with AI. And that's why I've started using Venice AI, a generative AI platform that is private and permissionless. They don't spy on you. Venice AI won't censor the AI. They have a safe mode, which you can turn off for both text and image generation. Messages are encrypted. Your conversation history is only stored on your browser. I love the Pro plan because I get upgraded features like uploading files, unlimited text prompts. Check it out. If you want to use AI without censorship or fear of handing over your most intimate thoughts to a corporation or the government, go to venice.ai/Pacman and use code Pacman to get 20% off their Pro plan. The link is in the description.